or on our website down on thefarmradio.com. Let's take a quick look at ag weather for the central portion of Down on the Farm Country. Mostly sunny today, 89 and 71. A 40% chance of showers for the San Antonio region on Wednesday the 21st. 88 the high, 70 the low, 2 or 3 points. Then Thursday and Friday we'll see mostly sun. 88 our high and 72 the low Friday morning. Saturday morning's low, a cooler 61. Then on a sunny Sunday, 82 and 67, and another 40% chance of rain on Saturday night and Sunday. And then a 60% chance of rain on Monday. Neighbor, and a 60% chance of rain on Tuesday. That Tuesday high only 64. That Wednesday morning low of this next week, 52. Neighbor, there's your ag weather for the center of Down on the Farm Country. Neighbor, let's take a look at those commodities of ag interest. December corn, 406.5 up 1 1/4. November beans, 1062.5 up 8 1/4. December Kansas City hard red winter wheat up 3 1/4 at 566 1/4. Your December number 2 cotton down 60 at 70.56. December live cattle down 107, 104.07. January feeder cattle down 55, 124.67. December lean hogs down 260, 68.82. December U.S. dollar index down 344 points at 93.08. December West Texas intermediate crude down 26 at 40.80. Neighbor, have you ever heard that October is National Farm to School Month? I didn't until Tom Nicoletti told me that today's edition of Texas News and Views was going to be about it. Tom will tell us all about it after this.
Where has the Pioneer Audio Tour taken me today? I'm in Princeton, Illinois, at a field they call the Soybean Disease Nursery. Researchers here are actually encouraging the growth of diseases, like sudden death syndrome. That's because it's not enough to study a disease as it occurs naturally. There might be some years where conditions aren't right. So, in this nursery and about 24 more across the country, Pioneer scientists induce disease. Here, that means making sure the ground is saturated. You can probably hear the irrigation system. Pioneer breeders and agronomists share data from this field to learn what varieties show greater resistance to disease. Because to achieve yield, you have to protect yield. The Disease Nursery in Princeton. Another thing that makes Pioneer, Pioneer. You'll hear more from me later. For now, let your local Pioneer sales representative hear from you.
My guest today is Brandon Lips. He joins us from Washington, D.C. He is the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Deputy Undersecretary for Food, Nutrition, and Consumer Services. And Brandon, thanks for joining us. You've been with us recently on our program, and today we talk about USDA's Farm to School program. Explain for our listeners what that program is all about.
Sure, Tom. Thanks for having us on. It's always good to talk to the folks back in Texas about the important things happening in D.C. that have effects out there. This month, October, is National Farm to School Month. It's one of the many programs we run here at the U.S. Department of Agriculture in our Food and Nutrition Service area. And Farm to School is just a really important program. It's one of those that benefits so many different stakeholders, from students and teachers, community members, and certainly to American farmers, ranchers, and fishers as they all connect together on this program that really ultimately is designed to benefit our school children and to advance agriculture in the school curriculum.
So talk a little bit about some of the farm-to-school activities that brings education alive in the classroom for students across Texas and the nation.
Sure, Tom, and I'll tell you, one of the most impressive things to me about the Farm to School program when I started here at USDA, I was aware of this program, but I hadn't participated deeply in it. Actually, one of my first Farm to School visits was in San Antonio at an IDEA public school down there, and someone had donated some land to them on which they have a pretty decent-sized school farm out there. And it was just so impressive, both the farm that they have, the way that they bring the produce that they make into the cafeteria, but also into the classroom. And they even, some of their kids who struggle with emotional issues, they allow them to spend time out working in that farm to help resolve that. And so it's really benefiting kids across the spectrum. One of our jobs at the Food and Nutrition Service is to help kids make healthy, nutritious choices. That's obviously what we do through the National School Lunch and Breakfast program and even in our summer programs. And we really see so much opportunity for kids as they learn to grow their own fruits and vegetables and harvest those. You'll see kids trying things that they've never eaten before and liking them, because when you participate in that process, there's obviously an emotional attachment. And so I think that we make so much more progress in leading kids to healthy choices through these type of activities than we do through more strict government regulation. So we're really excited about that. Obviously, also teaches the kids about agriculture. And as a guy that grew up in a small farming community, we know that most of the American public is 2-3 generations removed from the farm. They don't understand where their food comes from, and they don't understand the difficulty and the challenges in growing that. And so anytime we can help certainly our urban kids, but now even our suburban and sometimes our rural kids understand more about that, there's a very positive effect on agriculture, the agricultural economy, and the long-term opportunities that we have with that.
Brandon Lips with the U.S. Department of Agriculture will join me again next time to talk more about USDA's Farm to School program.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Visit Texas Farm Bureau Insurance today at tfbinsurance.com to get insurance for Texans by Texans. Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
This is Texas News and Views. I'm Tom Nicoletti with the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network.
Neighbor, it's about time for Hop Sing to feed us. Chicken fried steak, jalapeno gravy, plenty of anise yeast rolls, and a cold cucumber salad. I'll pour the iced tea. You folks pull your chairs up to the table and begin to fill your plate while Riley Rhodes tells us about the sale at Live Oak on Monday. Riley, how did it go?
I went pretty good, Larry. Market definitely has a cheaper tone to it. The futures was down pretty hard yesterday and also towards the end of the week there, but still had a good week with a special sale, Saturday, and then ended up going into the regular sale yesterday. Ended up with 1,143 head. Cows sold fully steady. They might have actually been a little better, and spots had a little bit better rail figures on the Packer cows. But calf market, especially probably 5 to 10 cents, maybe 12 cents, and spots cheaper yesterday on some of the cattle. Especially depending on the quality of some of those plainer cattle, sure getting harder to move and getting a lot of sickness up north, and just that time of year, good old October market. Cow-calf pairs yesterday didn't have many, 700, 1075, bred cows, 6 1/4 up to 10 1/4. Packer cows, 48 to 54 under high yielding cows, breakers, 42 to 48, 18 to 42 under canners. Packer bulls, 74 to 78 on your high yielded bulls, 54 to 74 on your low to medium yielded bulls. 2 to 3 weight choice steers, 140 to 176. Heifer mates, 118 to 144. Steers, 3 to 4 weights, 138 to 162. Heifers, 112 to 132. 4 to 5 weight choice steers, 118 to 148. Heifer mates, 106 to 124. 5 to 6 weight choice steers, 112 to 128. Heifer mates, $1 to 114. 6 to 7 weight choice steers, 104 to 124. Heifer mates, 92 to $1.08. Your 7 to 8 weight cattle, your choice steers, 104 to 118, and your heifer mates, 90 to $1.04. So definitely a correction in it yesterday, and it was kind of coming towards the end of last week, and it kind of all came together yesterday. But it's still a good market, and it's just what happens during the fall, especially in October. We'll bounce out of it and get going the right direction here for too long, let's hope.
That's right. Sometimes this time of the year, you just got a pinchy market, don't you?
That's right.
Yep, it's
exactly
stingy,
right.
And they don't want to give it up.
Yes, sir.
How about next week?
I think about the same. Everybody's got a lot of feed right now, Larry, and then I'm recommending if they can hold on to them just to kind of give it a little bit more time. I know they need to get them off the cows. If they need to do so, well, we're going to have a wean calf sale in November and December. So I think we're going to probably about like that. Not a whole lot of volume since people can hold on to them. Got some feed. They're probably going to try to get them through. Hold them and try to get past this October market anyway.
Tell everybody how to contact you.
361-813-6650 is the cell. 361-786-2553 is the office. liveoaklivestock.com is the web.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Larry.
What's impressive about Pioneer brand sorghum? I'm here in the Rio Grande Valley, Texas, sorghum country, but also sugarcane aphid country. This field is one of over 60,000 test plots. That's a lot of data, and the reason why Pioneer sorghum dominates the industry in yield potential and sugarcane aphid tolerance. A test plot in the Rio Grande Valley. Another place that makes Pioneer, Pioneer. Contact your local Pioneer sales representative.
Neighbor, have you ever thought about anxiety within the animal community? I believe Temple Grandin made her name working on her PhD, looking at the anxiety that livestock go through as we handle them, either while we're working them or as they go into a processing facility, and how that affects ease of handling and in the downstream profitability. Dr. Bob Judd tells me that all animals and livestock experience anxiety, and Dr. Bob will be talking about it on today's edition of the Texas Vet Report. Dr. Bob?
And of the animals with anxiety, dogs are the most common species that are treated for the condition. There are many different causes of anxiety, but the symptoms of all the types are similar and include pacing, hiding, excessive grooming, barking, chewing and destruction of objects, shaking and panting. And these signs occur repetitively with incessant barking, pacing, and grooming. Some dogs will also develop aggression, eat their own feces, attempt to escape confinement in normal areas, and just continually show excessive energy. Behavioral problems in animals, just as in people, can be difficult to diagnose and treat because all are so different. If a dog has a heart problem and certain test results indicate that, we know how to handle them. However, every behavior is different and therefore more difficult to treat. One option is desensitization, and this works by slowly exposing the dog to the cause of the anxiety and gradually getting them less sensitized over time to the cause of the anxiety. Developing a fixed routine with feeding at the same time and going to the bathroom at the same time can decrease anxiety. Calming equipment like thunder shirts can be helpful, as these create pressure and causes the release of endorphins that make the dogs feel good. There are many medications for anxiety in dogs, and just like anxiety medications for people, these anxiety medications require a lot of trial and error to find the correct drug and the correct dosage. And although CBD oil has been used for anxiety in animals, we do not know about the ingredients in the CBD products and do not know about potential long-term effects on the liver and other organs.
Where has the Pioneer audio tour taken me now? I'm on the Yunke farm in a very important section called an impact trial. To explain the importance, we have to go back in time. 7 or 8 years ago, the seeds in this ground weren't even seeds. They were just ideas in the heads of pioneer breeders. Eventually, those seeds were narrowed down and tested and turned into seeds ready for the final stage of testing, an impact trial. Pioneer plants hundreds of impact trials for each potential product all over the country, all managed by farmers, to help replicate how these products will perform in local conditions. The ones that do well, next year they'll go through testing again. An impact trial, another thing that makes Pioneer, Pioneer. You'll hear more from me later. For now, let your local Pioneer sales representative hear from you.
I'm Dr. Bob Judd. This is the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network.
Neighbor, Hop Sing's taking care of the lunch dishes, and while he does that, let's walk out to the sheep and goat pens and take a look at what we've got here at Down on the Farm Radio headquarters. We sent some to San Angelo today, to producers and Cargyle San Angelo. Benny Cox, what do you expect?
Well, we got 5,000 to start with. Last week we sold 64, a little over 6,400. I'm guessing we could sell up. With 5,000 we should have somewhere in the neighborhood of 6,000. I don't know which side of it, but lots of goats. We had a lot of goats last week. Kind of looked like that yesterday afternoon when I was walking around the yards. A pretty high percentage of these kid goats showing up, just kind of getting ready. We had a lot of mutton goats last week, some bigger bunches, and they got along real well. They probably sold, I don't know, I'd say they were $10 higher. The bulk of the goats are, sold firm, I guess you'd say.
Good. For the folks that are listening that are not farm and ranch oriented, when you give a mutton classification for goat, what are you talking about?
We call them muttons down here. Lots of people call them wethers, castrated males. Last week, this seemed to be a real high percentage of them. The majority of the people do not castrate those kid goats. They just take them directly off their mothers and send them to us. And a lot of times, there's very little difference. If you're going to sell a goat weighing in that 50 to 60 pound range off his mother, it's a little difference a lot of times. But now when you get some of these, and a lot of those last week were on the light side, in the 40s up to the mid 50s, those goats could have gone to a feed pen for a while, and those castrated males will do better than these billy kids that after they start getting some size on them, they're snorting in each other's flanks and riding and all that stuff. And
right.
that certainly they don't perform quite as well on feed when you put them in those feed pens all, kind of grouped up. So
right.
That's part of the reason that those mutton kids, especially those lighter kind that would go to the feed pen, are worth more than a billy kid to these people that are in that, in that business.
Right.
Those things.
Right. Now, a lot of those people that went ahead and castrated, could they be a part of the group that may have a small feed yard there at their place, and for whatever reason they were looking at the signs this year and the market condition and said, well, I need to go ahead and pop the cork early?
Some of them do that. Some of these people with bigger goat numbers certainly will go in there and take those things out and polish those things up to what they think is the optimum, weight. And what will happen is generally this market will get better sometime later in the fall. And as dry as it was this year, they may feel like it's time to get them off the nannies
right.
just because the conditions are not good and if they're set up or have a facility set up to where they can go in there and feed those things and put another 10 to maybe 15 pounds on them economically, they'll do that at times and sometimes hoping that market will start its climb and certainly work out for them. Of course, sometimes that can kind of bite you if they've got them fully on feed. When it cools off, those things they really take off then, and sometimes they'll end up feeding them till they're sitting there waiting on the market. They'll sit there and feed them till they're way up there in that 70 plus, and sometimes it doesn't work quite so well. They might have been better off selling them back more closer to that 60 pound range than wait until they got that big. And I've seen people do that, and then they're upset with themselves, or me, which I have little control over a deal like that. The market's going to give them what it's going to give them,
That's right.
Some of them go a little too far at times.
Speaking of the market giving what it's going to give, what's it going to give to cattle producers this week?
Ooh, didn't look good yesterday. Oklahoma City, I always look at their market because they sell so many of them, and they're on Mondays. They quoted those feeder steers as much as $8 lower. Heifers, not quite so bad, kind of 1 to 5, and then they quoted their steer calves steady and their heifers, 1 to steady to 3 lower, I think it was. So doesn't smell very good. The fat cattle deal was off about $1 last week from the high the week prior. So it doesn't smell very good to me.
Right. It's kind of like the boys that used to work for me. It's kind of pinchy this week, I guess. Not going to want to give it up. It's stingy. Well, yeah. Benny, tell everybody how to get a hold of you.
They can call me on my mobile. It's 325-234-4277. Office is the same area code, 653-3371, or they can always look at the web, which is producersandcargyle.com.
Enjoy the conversation. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Rumensin presents Trusted by Generations. Headquartered in Amarillo, Texas, Cactus Feeders has been producing high-quality protein at their feed yards in Texas and Kansas for over 40 years. They work hard each day to make sure the beef they produce is safe and nutritious. Director of Nutrition Kendall Carr and General Manager of Wrangler Feed Yard Randy Shields have been working together at Cactus Feeders for 20 years. We asked them what they view as the most vital ingredient in their success. For Kendall, trust comes before anything else, and that includes doing business with a handshake. Beyond trust in their partners, Kendall knows it's important for consumers to trust the beef they consume. Randy believes it all comes back to the handshake deal, that when you make a commitment, you follow through with that commitment. Both Kendall and Randy are proud to carry on the legacy of helping people learn and grow in the beef cattle business. Rumensin has been trusted by generations of cattle producers to help build their legacy. What will your legacy be? Explore more legacy stories at trustedbygenerations.com.
Neighbor, our cowboy crew's already finished lunch, so I'm going to send them down to Brenham to help Doug Bass start gathering for this Friday's sale. That's Doug Bass, Cattleman's Brenham Livestock. Sell them every Friday. Doug, how did last week go?
We had a good sale, Mr. Larry. We ended up with 1,329 head of cattle. The markets look just pretty steady across the board from the week before. Mr. Larry, on your weigh-in cows, your thinner, lower-yielding cows bring 17 to 40. Better high-yielding cows bring 44 to 55. Your thinner, lower-yielding bulls bring 55 to 68. Better high-yielding bulls bring 70 to 79. We didn't have any pairs. We had a few bred cows. Bred cows bring anywhere from 450 to 1,000, just depending on age and condition. On your calf market, like I said, I think the calf market looked about steady the week before. Lighter calves are kind of holding on. The bigger cattle might have been a tad cheaper. On your roping calves, 1 to 2 weight roping calves, your steers bring 155 to 192. Heifers bring 140 to 178. 2 to 3 weight steers bring 138 to 192. Heifers bring 125 to 180. 3 to 4 weight steers bring 130 to 185. Heifers bring 118 to 136. 4 to 5 weight steers bring 127 to 172. Heifers bring 115 to 167. 5 to 6 weight steers bring 115 to 140. Heifers bring 108 to 160. 6 to 7 weight steers bring $1 to $1.24. Heifers bring 98 to 167. We had quite a few good replacement heifers with them heifers getting so high there. 7 to 8 weight steers and bull yearlings bring 85 to 115. Heifers bring 80 to 116. And your 800 to 1,000 pound steers and bull yearlings bring 80 to 113. And the heiferettes bring 70 to 97.
What do you know coming this week?
Been on the phone. We've got quite a few good calves coming again this week. I don't have much in the way of cows that I know of, but looks like we're going to have a good run of some good yearlings again.
Tell everybody how to contact you.
Yes, sir. Y'all can sure call me on my cell, which is 979-877-4454, or call us there at the office, which is 979-836-3621.
Neighbor, let's take a look at the grains, courtesy of John Tuggle & Company, Corpus. Call 800-288-4453. Number 2 or better Milo through Corpus in October. East plus $2, $10.81. We'll call Progresso 850. Number 2 or better yellow corn through Corpus Christi in October. D's plus 40, $4.45 and a quarter. We'll call Houston D's plus 30, $4.35 and a quarter. We'll call Progresso $8.45. Number 1 hard red winter wheat to Corpus in October. D's plus 75, $6.38. We'll call Houston D's plus a dollar bill, $6.63. And we'll call number 1 beans to Houston October November delivery. November less 15, $10.39 and a quarter. And we'll call Placido November less 60, $9.94 and a quarter. We moved 4,571 bale of Texas cotton yesterday. Price averaged $66.16. Neighbor, that's it for Down on the Farm. I will see you back tomorrow. Same farm time, same farm channel.